As a kid competing, I was quite anxious. I think Mum thought about making a shirt for me that says, "Don't worry, I'm a crier," which I wish she did, because it would have just explained a lot at the start of a tour. Struggling with nerves and confidence was probably one of the hardest things I had to deal with on tour. I honestly was confronted with self-talk while on tour. Never would I ever thought about being in a show before. I never thought I'd be good enough to be a part of that. So it just shows that you don't have to be a podium placer to be in a show and to be at the same level as everyone else. And as we were walking around, Mum spotted a sign, and it was psychic reading for half an hour for $10. And Mum looked at me and she was just like, "Do you want to do it?" So what was the scariest part about joining A Taste of Ireland? Hi, my name is Sheridan O'Leary. I am 22 years old and I am from Perth, Western Australia. In my episode of Jenny to the Stage, I shared the obstacles I had faced with confidence on and off the stage, my decision to join a 7-month tour without any introduction into show dancing, and also the incredible experience I would gain through working with such a high caliber team, and how that shaped the person I am today. So I hope you enjoy my journey to the stage. Currently, I am about to start back at uni, studying interior architecture, continuing my studies from a diploma that I did in interior design and decoration. So that's one of my passions, as well as dancing and tour dancing as of last year when I joined A Taste of Ireland in 2019. So I started dancing at the age of 6 years old. One of the main reasons why I started dancing was because I saw it on The Wiggles, which is a child's program here in Australia. I saw Dorothy the dinosaur dancing, and I told Mum that that's what I wanted to do. So they are one of my main inspirations into why I started doing Irish dancing, and I haven't looked back. I dance for the O'Hare School of Irish Dancing under the tuition of Jenny O'Hare. Jenny and the girls, they are beautiful. It was a tight-knit school, so they were like my second family, and I'm really, really grateful for that. I started competing probably later on than everyone else. I competed at age 11, and I didn't start getting quite competitive until I was 14, 15, which is really late than everyone else, but it took until then to really realise that I was reasonably good, and Jenny was a really great teacher and really helped push me to get the results that I wanted. As a kid competing, I was quite anxious. Actually, I was anxious in all aspects of my life, which is why Jenny, my teacher, was so important to me. She was a great role model. Jenny knew how to read me, which is the ability of a great teacher, which can be such an important emotional strength and conditioning, not only in a physical sense, but in an emotional, a mental and emotional sense, which I will take on with me for the rest of my life and has really helped me grow as a dancer. To be quite honest, I never really thought about joining a show. I never had really any interest in show dancing. I admired the dancers in Lord of the Dance, Riverdance, all types of shows. I just personally never thought I had the ability to be in a show. I think it was genuinely just a confidence thing. I just didn't think I was good enough to be in a show. So when I got the opportunity to be in A Taste of Ireland, it was completely indescribable. I still don't have any words for it. I am just really grateful that I was able to be a part of a tour. Actually a few of the main reasons that stopped me from auditioning for a show is anxiety and confidence. Just confidence in myself that I was a good dancer and a performer. I'd never done any sort of performing before, so this was really new to me and a big leap. So I think I was just afraid of failing, so I just never thought about doing it. So how did I get into A Taste of Ireland? Well, long story long. 2018 was the Cairns Nationals. That year I had decided that that was my last year competing. I wanted to focus on my studies and I thought I had a really good run with dancing. I never finished on the podium, but I had a good run of top 10s for the last few years. I think the best place I got was 7th place, which was amazing for me, an amazing achievement. But yeah, so that year I decided that dancing competitively was finished for me, and I was okay with that. So that year I had been studying really hard, I'd been dancing really hard, and I'd been working really hard. So at that time I was just like an anxious ball of stress, and it was definitely time for me. So at the Nationals, I did my first round and I came off stage and I was pretty happy with the way I went, and I was walking off the stage and walking over to my teacher Jenny to see what she had to say about my first round. And as I was walking to her, I saw out of the corner of my eye Brent Pace, who is the producer of A Taste of Ireland, and he was staring me down with his beady eyes. And I was like, who is this guy? So I think what happened was Brent went up and chatted to my teacher. He asked her all these questions about me, what type of person I was I a performer? Basically, I think just general like show questions, whether I'd ever danced in a show, what I was like picking up steps. And so yeah, then I did my second round, felt pretty good. And Jenny came up to me and she was just like, Brent wants you to audition for his show. And what do you think about that? And at the time, I think I was so overwhelmed with competing on the day that I put it to the back of my mind. And I was like, that's amazing, quite flattering. Gave me a bit of confidence for my last round. But yeah, nothing I ever would have thought about joining. And he came up to me and he asked me to audition for the show. He said that there's online auditions that I just had to send in a video, which I was really thankful for. I grabbed his details and I was umming and ahhing about it because I was ready to start focusing on my studies, and I thought that dancing was done for me, finished for me. So yeah, going on from that, if you're gonna believe me or not, I'm gonna tell you anyway, that night was the night of the Ceilidh, which is a big celebration that everyone has at the end of Nationals to celebrate results for the week. And that night, I didn't manage to get a ticket, so I was a bit upset about that. So Mum and I just ended up going out for dinner that night, and then we just had a walk around the Cairns markets. And as we were walking around, Mum spotted a sign and it was psychic reading for half an hour for $10. And Mum looked at me and she was just like, do you want to do it? And at the time I didn't believe in any of that sort of stuff. I don't know if anyone else does, but I went in there a bit questionable. And before I even touched the cards, he looked at me and he told me everything about me. He said that I was just an anxious ball of anxiety and stress. Didn't have a lot of confidence. He told me that my study was a burden. So at the time I was really stressed out with my studies. And he said that I was gonna be really successful in what I was learning and trying to do. But he said that just at this time, study I could put later. He said that I was thinking of quitting something, which at the time was dancing, and he told me not to. He was just like, you're not ready. He said, you've been given an opportunity that, quote, involves fame and fortune and lights and stages, and you've been given this opportunity and you can't say no, otherwise you're gonna regret it for the rest of your life. So at that time I was like, ooh, yeah, that's a part of my journey to the stage, fame and fortune. No, but that's one of the reasons why I joined A Taste of Ireland. So when I came home, I did my little audition tape and I sent that through. And a few days later, Brent contacted me and he said that he wanted me for the show and to join their 7-month tour around Australia and New Zealand, which was a major confidence booster for me. Never would I ever thought about being in a show before. I never thought I'd be good enough to be a part of that. So it just shows that you don't have to be a podium placer to be in a show and to be at the same level as everyone else. Life presents itself with all these different opportunities and you just got to snap them up when they're offered to you, and that's what I did. So what was the scariest part about joining A Taste of Ireland? It was a range of things. I think it was just the fear of the unknown. I hadn't met these people before. I'm such a homebody, so moving from Perth, Western Australia, it's the most remote city in the world. We're quite far away from everyone else. So moving to the other side of the country, leaving my bedroom, my comfort zone, just being out of my comfort levels, and just everything was just so new for me. So my mind was racing. I was just such an anxious, just full of anxiety. Being around people who were so successful in their competitive careers was quite daunting for me. I questioned whether I was good enough. But as the tour went on, I gradually built that confidence, and I could see myself improving quite a lot, especially from my first show. I cried every day for the first month just because I just wasn't used to it all. I missed home, I missed my family, missed my friends, but at the same time I was gaining like the most amazing friendships, being able to perform for people, just seeing the reactions on these people's faces and what performing can do for people. So what did I find the hardest while touring? I think trying not to cry. I'm just a crier. I just cry all the time. I cry when I'm happy, I cry when I'm sad, I cry when I'm hungry, I cry when I'm thirsty. If I'm not between a 4 and a 6 on the happy to sad scale, I'm crying. I think Mum thought about making a shirt for me that says, "Don't worry, I'm a crier," which I wish she did, because it would have just explained a lot at the start of a tour. Struggling with nerves and confidence was probably one of the hardest things I had to deal with on tour. I honestly was confronted with self-talk while on tour. Confidence and not having that reassurance from my peers and my mum like I would at home and competing was quite confronting when I was alone. I had to turn into a coach myself and teach myself like positive reinforcement the way a coach normally would. One of the major fears was just failing. I just didn't want to fail. I just wanted to get through those 7 months. I wanted to prove not only to everyone else, I really wanted to prove to myself that I could pick up new steps and to do something that's completely out of my comfort zone. While on tour, I drew a lot of energy from everyone else and what their self-talk was like. My bestie now, Mitch, he'd look at himself in the mirror, he'd say, "I'm fabulous, I'm amazing, I'm good at what I do." And he would build confidence from that. And I thought that was just so powerful and so mature of someone to be like that. So what helped dealing with stress and nerves was just drawing back all the negative self-talk and stop getting in my head so much. I started thinking about the other point of view, the audience's point of view, and why they were here and why they were at the show. They were here for the enjoyment and the art of dancing and performing. It took me a while to realize that, but I had to play on that, and I had to realize why I was there. And performing just gives you so much joy. Even some nights when you're tired and exhausted and everything, and then you'd come out and the audience would be cheering and you'd sometimes even get a standing ovation, was just, you can't describe how that makes you feel. It's just the best feeling in the world. I definitely have grown a lot as a person as well as a performer from the first day on tour up until now. My confidence, my independence, my resilience, my capabilities, organisation, having a routine. I learnt how to really look after myself. If I was sore, I'd make sure I'd get a massage or go to a physio. I was looking after the way I was eating. I think people were always saying were making fun of me for eating carrots and hummus all the time, but I really made the effort to look after myself, and it really showed. My mum wasn't around cooking for me, looking after me, making my bed. I had to do all of that, which was a big shock to the system, but I'm so thankful for it. I think mum and dad were a little bit upset when I came home because I wasn't much of a homebody anymore. I'm a changed person. I always want to travel now. I want to be out doing things, which has just showed just how much I have changed since touring. So there's so many memories, favourite memories from being on tour, but one of them would have to be when I performed for my friends and family and teacher in school here in my hometown in Perth, Western Australia, at the Regal Theatre. It was just such a surreal feeling coming out on stage and being able to hear my mum whistle in the audience. So as well as dancing for my hometown, dancing for the cast members' hometown was such a surreal feeling as well. It was so gorgeous seeing their reactions and how proud they are of them as well. It's so nice to see. And this is why we do what we do. And possibly one of the biggest moments and memories would have to be at the start of this year, where we went to New York to do a showcase just off of Broadway. So amazing. Being able to walk around New York, be in Times Square, I just had to keep pinching myself that I was there. If you had have asked me at the start of last year that I'd be in New York, I would just have no words. So lucky for, grateful for what A Taste of Ireland has done for me. So this has been my journey to the stage. I hope it encourages at least one of you who deals with either stress or just self-confidence to get out there and just give it a go, because you've got nothing to lose. So don't forget to like and subscribe below for more A Taste of Ireland content.